Welcome, everyone, to Pursuing Joy, where we share audacious stories of joy-infused strength. I have my first guest, Tricia Bush, and I'm going to let her talk about her business, where she's located, and how she is reaching out and getting. Actually, you just explain your business, and then we can go from there. So, Tricia Bush.
Yeah, hi, thank you for having me. Yeah, so Tricia Bush from Frederick, Maryland, and I've recently started AAA Advisory. It's a goal to help people align their values with their finances and turn money into a tool to find a life that they want to live.
All right, awesome. Okay, so tell me the meaning behind the name.
Yeah, so at first it started really being, for my girls. So Annabelle, Alexis, and Ashlyn, they all started with A, so it was kind of fun. But then it turned into more than that. So the first A is for alignment, so aligning your values with your life and finances. Second is accountability, because we all need a little bit of that, to keep us going and keep us on track. And the third is for action, because nothing's going to happen or get started if we don't take action.
Okay, and tell me so those are kind of the values, but tell me how you've seen how this finance business differs from other like wealth management companies.
Yeah, sure. So, the traditional model you see for most finance companies is, hey, you have a bunch of assets, let me manage them and take care of them for you. And then, you just go off, and they're picking stocks, they're making you money. It's, an important part. But what I really enjoy and like to focus in on is, how do we make the money work for you, for the life you want to live? Because not everybody's answer is just having a bunch of money. That's not the answer.
Right.
For some, you might value the time with your kids. You might enjoy travel, or you need balance now, not just waiting till retirement. So I love the idea of using money as that tool to make life work for you.
All right, awesome. So I met you at a FIM summit, FIM, which was at the time Female Integrator Mastermind, and is now FEM, Female Executive Mastermind, under the umbrella of Herburst. Shout out to Christy Clayton. At the time, I thought I was going to be an integrator, which is somewhat laughable now. And were you in the integrator role at that time?
I was, yeah. So we were starting to implement EOS at the firm I was at, and I was the integrator for the firm.
Okay. All right. And so what the key memory I have is so we must have only met up during that accountability like roundtable session. It feels like we talked a lot more than that. So I think when maybe we were waiting to get on a plane.
Yeah.
And when I got home, like I literally I got on the plane, was feeling iffy. And then I went on my drive home. I knew I definitely had a fever and was coming down with something. And when I walked in the door, I was kind of dead to the world. And that trickled down to everybody else in my house. And from that accountability group, we were on a group text. I didn't say any, how sick I was. I just mentioned, that I was sick and I may not be communicating as much. And lo and behold, Tricia, you sent me, I didn't even know this was possible to do without someone's address. But you taught me you can do this, and sent me like the nicest care package. And it was so defining of who the people that showed up at that conference overall, and just who you are as a person. So I was super stoked when we were able to get in touch again, because I had announced that I was starting my own business. Yeah. And then you were like, oh, by the way, I'm doing this too. So we're out here kind of figuring out together. I know with the integrator mind and I know with the finance mind, you are doing it much more responsibly than me. So I probably will be coming to you for finance advice soon enough. But you mentioned at that conference that I think both of us kind of were having this dream and these like wheels turning in our head at the time. But you said there was a kind of an emotional pull during that conference. Can you explain kind of what was going on then as you were noodling on this idea?
Yeah, it definitely was a huge emotional pull of like, a big part of the conference was like, okay, what do we really want to get out of, being integrated? Like, why are we here? What's our purpose to help out? And it really forces you to like think within, like, what is that? Like, what difference am I making in the world? What's going to be the impact? And, how do I make this time worth it? And those deep thoughts. And we both had similar ideas. I remember of how like one
Mm-hmm.
train of thought just doesn't seem like enough. Like there's so much connected in this world, like finances are not a silo, like they're a part of our lives and they integrate it. And you can't just look at finances without understanding the person and more that's going on with them.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So no, I'm pulling this up on my phone right now. So you posted something, I think, on your business page that really struck me. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to have you kind of give me your thoughts and how this came about, and just expound on it a little bit. So, and it struck me too because you have the integrator mindset and you have the finance mindset, which leads me to believe you have your ducks in a row, right? And you are a rule follower. Is what how I would how I've interpreted you. So when you started out with what happens when you stop following someone else's rules and start leading with your values. A few years ago, I took the VIA Character Strength Survey and discovered my top 3 values: honesty, fairness, forgiveness. Those 3 words helped me understand why I was feeling out of alignment and pointed me toward a different path. And I'm going to skip down to so you went into defining those characteristics, but that's what inspired me to create AAA Advisory, a space for values aligned financial planning that helps you live life on your terms. So can you kind of talk about honesty, fairness, and forgiveness and what that looks like personally or professionally?
Yeah. So the top value for me that's been here the whole time, because you can take that survey multiple times in your life and your values shift a little bit. But forgiveness has always been at the top. And I really encourage everybody to take that survey. It's free to do. It gives you your top 20 values in order, so you know what's most important and what's, least important for you. We all have all of them, just in different order. And forgiveness for me has always been there. And it's so funny, once you do this survey, you start to see it like everywhere in your life. You pick
Oh,
up,
yeah.
yeah, my favorite movies all have like a huge theme of forgiveness in them. And I didn't realize that was like the link until I did this survey. Um, so there's a movie, Stuck in Love, about a couple, the one cheats on the other, and, but they still love each other and they find the forgiveness and they, come back to each other. And it's just so beautiful. And there's other things going on with the kids, because nobody's perfect and everybody has a problem, but, forgiveness brings everybody back together. And then Crazy Stupid Love too is another really good one.
Oh, okay. These are on my list. I just have not gone there yet.
No, they're great. And then, for me, I am that rule follower, and honesty is really important. And there's other things, that I've experienced in my career where, some people might get a little too close to that gray line, or, just something like, oh, but it doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal. But it really hurt me to the core. Like, no, it is a big deal to me. Like, integrity is important, and honesty, and, living that authentic life that you want to live. And when you're not doing that, it doesn't feel good.
All right.
Something feels off. So
Right.
it really helps to dig and see like what are your values and start living them, and you find yourself just feeling better at the end of the day when you're
Yeah,
doing that.
that's definitely true. So do you feel like those values is kind of what got you here? And in this setting, in this business, entrepreneurship, all of that? Do you feel like those kind of tailspin this into action, or
Yeah, for sure. And it takes a lot. So we had discussed, I was kind of on like the traditional path. You go to college, you get a good job, you get married, you have kids, that's what you're supposed to do. You take those steps, and you're just supposed to make good money, and that should bring joy. But for me, I did all those things, but there still was, it felt like something was missing. It wasn't all there. And then back in 2018, I suddenly lost my husband. So that really forced me to turn inward. And that's what really prompted me to take this survey. I was working with a group of women, P-Link
that's when
leadership
you took the
at the
survey?
time. That's what I took. Yeah. That same time,
Okay.
it happened to be, yeah. It just coincided. I was in the P-Link program through work. They were, letting me go through it and kind of be the guinea pig, which I loved. I love that kind of stuff. So it really was perfect timing for me to have that, because I really did just, plan my life around other people. It's like, okay, my parents want me to do this, I'm going to do that. My husband likes cars, so I'm going to go to these car shows with him. And I never really took the time to stop and think, like, what do I really want to do? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a CPA. So I was like, okay, so you just work, till 10 p.m. at night on taxes and tax season. That's what you do.
Right.
But, when that happened, I had to stop. Like, hey, why am I doing this? Like, what am I getting?
Yes.
Money and working late and, not being home.
Right. When the formula doesn't work, then it's time to assess. So explain. So I know you have that personal journey, and then I feel like the professional kind of weaves in that along the way. So tell me kind of those months or year or two after your husband passed away, like what transpired.
Yeah, so that's when the journey really started of diving deep and, okay, well, what do I actually want to do? Because I just never took that time. And I started to really think about it and what motivated me. And I started having this idea of maybe starting this bookkeeping business where I could help, small business owners like my parents were, and, promoting other mothers out there who didn't want to work, crazy hours, but were still really smart and capable of doing good work. Mm-hmm. And as I was pursuing that possibility, I met one of the partners at the firm I was just at. And we had talked, and he had introduced me to this idea of comprehensive financial planning, which it sounds silly because I was in the finance world, but I hadn't really heard that before, understood, financial planning beyond stock picking or, doing those kinds of things, and how you could really work with people on all aspects of their life and, go deeper than just their tax return and do more. And it was really interesting. And I learned so much being there. But through that journey, I also continued to discover what I'm interested in. Quickly figured out bookkeeping for me was not where I was meant to be. To that side of it. And took my CFP and started in that area. And it was really exciting. But I found myself still living for other people. I kept putting myself in roles in the firm that were making my other partners happy, or filling in gaps that would help others, but weren't really helping me on my own journey. And it took a few years to realize and build and plan, okay, like what skills do I need? What is really going to make me happy? And I love this idea of combining both, the values and long-term vision planning with the finances and make it its own thing. So I started working with another group of amazing women. So I was joined Sparkle and Grit. So it's run by Wendy Meadows. It's local here in Frederick, and she, Maryland area, and she is so amazing and really helped me develop that plan and like dive deeper and keep that focus. Cause I think that's what's hard. We get so caught up in life and just living the day to day, got 3 kids at home. So there's lots going on, 2 rescue dogs,
Right. Yes.
busy. So that dedicated time with that group of amazing women, be like, okay, what do we really want? Let's make sure we're doing things that are building up towards that goal to get there. So it took over a year and a half, probably working with her and the team. But we made the plan and I finally did it. And it has been amazing. Like every time I get to work with a new client, it just makes me smile. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity.
That's awesome. So, give me a challenge, like some of the a challenge that you had while working at the firm or amongst someone else that owned the business, and then now challenges that you have now that it's you.
One of the biggest challenges I had personally, working with my other partners, they're great people, but I found myself stuck in that trap of maybe having an idea and shutting myself down, of being like, oh no, but that's not what they're gonna want. Like, oh, but this would be so exciting. Like, oh, but they're not gonna be into it, and I kept doing that. No fault of theirs at all, completely on me. So, but then jumping off my own, that's where I really feel like, hey, I had this idea to post and I don't have that other force stopping me. Like, yeah, no, I believe in this and let me share it with the world. So that has been amazing. It is always nice to have that other people around to brainstorm off of. So,
Oh yeah, no, that's
so
true.
that's a little bit different. I'm in some great groups and people to talk to, but that would be the hard part is, being off on your own. It's all on you.
Right. So what does life look like for you now?
Yeah, so it's, it's going to be a constant transition. So this is new and exciting and fun, and I know it's going to continue to evolve and grow. And just, I know I need to be up for knowing it's not going to be the same every day and be open to the change and continue to evaluate, is this still working for me? And, what's going to bring me the most joy, or like I need to feel good. Like when I go to bed, okay, I know I did something to help make progress and do what I need to do.
How does this show up? How are you showing up differently? And I'm thinking about this for myself right now too, because I don't know that I'm showing up differently yet because I am immersed in being the only one in the business and the only adult in my household at the same time. Now that I'm thinking about it, so I don't know that I'm not definitely not less exhausted in this process right now. So for you, you're in this a little bit. I know you been getting clients and kind of spinning a few plates right now. Do you feel like you are showing up differently at home based on making this move in a positive way?
Yeah, it's interesting, because part of it was being able to be more in control of my life and have that flexibility, of when I'm working and when I'm not working. But before, like, let's say I had to work late and do a deadline for like somebody else, like I would do it, but I definitely would be a little bit curmudgeon the whole time. Like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, oh, this is where, it was actually just the other night, I was probably like triple preparing for this meeting I had the next morning, just because, I'm excited about it. It's still new, but that's how, like, I was still working late, but it was such a different mood. It was more like excitement and like, oh, I really want to make this person happy with the services, and like, oh, how could I craft this better so the person can really hear me? Because I know, especially in like the finances, like I'm in deep, I've been doing this for a while and I really want to make sure I don't go too quickly, or I have both visuals as well as the verbal, so people can really take it in and understand it and get the value.
So, all right. So tell me,
different energy.
Yes. So, and I know, I'm sure everyone knows about ChatGPT and other AI devices, but the reason I'm saying this is because I feel like maybe I don't know that easier is the right term, maybe simpler to kind of go this trajectory. As far as like, I've used ChatGPT for contracts, client journeys. How have you used AI during this process?
Yeah, ChatGPT is like my best friend right now, for sure.
Okay.
Because I think it is really important to be able to speak relatably and have, great language out there so that the word can get out, because if you can't write a catchy or fun message, then people aren't going to find you and they're not, going to be able to change their lives.
Right.
Whether people are working with me or not, what I want to get out there is you don't have to just keep working really hard to build a bank balance. Like, figure out what you want, and there's other people out there like you too, and get started. So I hope these posts are helping. But yes, it also does help on the contract side. So it's really been like some like one-off engagements where I was like, I haven't really done this one-off before. ChatGPT, here's what I'm doing. Like, please give me an agreement.
No,
And
that
it's
is
fine. Yeah, it's been really helpful, and just having software that helps e-sign as well. So
right.
because I am a virtual practice, so I don't need strangers showing up at my door. I like the idea
Right.
be able to send it. They can sign it right away, as well as payments. People can just pay online, and it just makes it easy on both fronts for everybody.
And can you provide your services nationally?
I definitely am gonna. Yeah, all the United States will say I'm gonna stick with the
Okay.
United
Okay.
States
Okay. Okay.
services. Yeah,
That's what. Okay.
I
Okay.
don't have a limitation where I can. I just personally, there's a lot of nuances and different rules once you start to get international. And I think if somebody is looking that route, they should probably work with someone who specializes in that area.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So tell me how you are experiencing or finding joy personally or professionally or both or in a season of growth. How are you experiencing joy right now?
Yeah, so I'm so excited to be living my own life, and being part of my Sparkle and Grit group and keeping me accountable to, like, yeah, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I really believe in this, and I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to continue to do it. And I love how I can be that example for my girls, so they can see me doing it, and they know that when they grow up, they can do what they want to do too and pursue it. And it doesn't matter if it's a pay cut, because I've taken a few of those throughout my journey to get where I
Yeah.
am. And every time I've done it, I have never regretted it. I've never looked back and be like, oh, I wish I had that chunk of money. Like, no, it's
Yes.
never been a regret at all. Um, which was actually surprising. I thought it was going to be a lot harder to do when I took the first one, but
That
yeah,
speaks to your values as well.
yeah, it comes back to you. And and there's days that are hard, and I'm not necessarily feeling the joy or like,
Right.
I don't want to do this, invoice today or do something. And I just want to encourage everybody to, like, what else brings you joy or gives you that moment. For some people, it's running. For other people, it's reading a good book. For me, I really enjoy drawing and painting. There's something about
Yeah,
being
that's
able
right.
to do that and get lost in it and, like, really take that break. So then it really recharges me, and then I can get back and focus and do the work.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just thinking because when I was taking time away from my girls for someone else's business, right? I there was a big guilt factor there, and like just last night, I took my computer into where they were, just being amongst them and making it more of a this is for us.
Yeah,
That it just feels more like a conglomerative collaboration, even though they're not necessarily in the works of it right now. But overall, it is teaching them that they don't have to follow the formula, right? That
exactly.
they are a part of something bigger, and we can all be a part. of something bigger. Not to say, because I was just speaking with someone who said she's definitely an employee, and that's where she wants to be, and that's her heart, and that is necessary and needed. And I always just want to encourage people to be where their joy is. And if you know that you're not, then don't be afraid to like take whatever leap that is. If it's you started your own business and you hate it and you want to go back to being an employee, like make that move. No one's going to be hugely disappointed. Everyone's just going to want you to show up as you know, as your best authentic self. So
yeah, I love that. And I truly do believe everything happens for a reason. And before I started this business, I called some other advisors who had started their own similar program to what I'm doing. And like, hey, like, what is it really like in the first few years? Trying to like think about the risks and, what's going to happen. And it was really interesting to me. Somebody said, I did it. It took a few years, but it worked out for me. And I'm really happy doing this. He's like, but I had a friend. He went out and did it. He didn't really love the getting customers, or like that side of the business. He was really good at planning and doing that stuff.
Right.
But found that he really did not like being his own business owner. But him leaving that first job and taking that opportunity led him to the firm he's at now, where he's super happy and getting to do what he loves like all the time. So that's the thing, like if you find what you really love, just like me, I thought, oh, I'll go do, help start this bookkeeping part of the practice at this firm. No, tried it. No, it wasn't for me. And you pivot and like, okay, this actually, but led me here to this other, job that I didn't even know existed. And I would have never seen it had I not made the change. So
no,
yeah, things happen for a reason, and you'll find your way and opportunities will open up.
No, I think your journey is amazing. Do you have can you speak to choosing or pursuing joy in a time of grief? Because I know there's several people that I know personally that can relate to this, and overall, I know tons of people that can relate to this. But as a mom, right, and having to continue to keep the household going, having grieving children, being in grieving your loss at the same time, like, do you have some input into how joy can show up there as well?
Yeah, I think similar to what I just said, that I just have this belief that everything must happen for a reason. And there has to be good that comes out of it, or else what's the point? I don't know. I think I'm there, and I just believe that hard, that things that are even bad are going to produce something good. So just, it took a long time and working with people and the kids, part of it is just to keep going. But, in times of grief, it really opens, I think, a lot of people's eyes to start focusing more on the why. Why am I here? Why? What can I do? And it also opens your eyes that we're not all going to live till we're 90 or 100.
Right.
So we may just have tomorrow. And, what can we do before then to know, like, okay, I'm happy with what I did, if tomorrow's the last day.
No,
and it's actually a gift to be able to have that perspective and not just be living on that treadmill with no purpose or direction.
Right. No, I caught myself. And I don't know how you felt as using the term like widow. But I couldn't, as far as just being divorced, that I didn't like that association. I didn't like the terminology. I would prefer people just believe whatever they believed and maybe just assumed I was married and that, my husband wasn't around. It took me a really long time to use that language. And then yet the other day when I was doing a pre-interview for this podcast, I was just like, I'm divorced, and they were like, I'm sorry about that. And I said, you know what? It's actually a really great thing, because I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. And the person I was talking to, I wouldn't even be in this realm right now had that not happened. And I don't want that to be a part of my story, but what has come on the other side of it has been used, like the journey, the sadness, the grief, all of it has been used in a way that continues the story in just a different way.
Yeah, it is funny to hear you say that, because when I was exploring this journey and, who I really wanted to serve, or, part of me thought like, oh, maybe, because I've been there, maybe I'll make my target market, other widows who have gone through it. And I'm happy to help those people. But in that journey, I realized I don't identify that way. And every time, someone like tried to say that back to me, like, oh, okay, so widow, I was like, oh, like it didn't fit. I don't know if it's just because, I was so young when it happened. And, and I, met somebody, not too long after everything. And so I just never really felt like I truly identified that way. I wasn't like the, what you typically think a widow would be. No, I didn't have that badge of like being alone for years.
I understand what you're saying. It's not your identity. And I mean,
yeah.
Single mom, I don't feel it's obvious, but it's not my identity. I completely understand that. So that totally makes sense. And I mean, I think you have pivoted in an amazing way. And I think, your girls, I mean, I can't wait to see what all our girls become.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. They're very different. So, and I love what you said too about your girls being, even if they're just in the room and kind of part of it and seeing it, because I started giving my girls little jobs. So I opened a PO box recently for the business, and that has been such fun for the girls. That is like their favorite thing to do, is go to the PO box. Even my 4-year-old knows exactly where the box is. She took the key, went right to it the other day. I was like, how did you remember where that was?
That is funny. Mail is fun. Yeah, my daughter painted, this background for me, and being that Joy is talked about all the time, they're definitely holding me accountable to that as well. They will tell you to practice what you preach. They will make sure of that. So, well, Tricia, I'm so glad that you were willing to share your story and your journey. Can you give us all the information to be able to get in touch with you? The information for, now I was about to say the AAA advisory. So just give us that information, and so people can get in touch with you and become your next client that I know that you value, and align your values with their values as well.
Yeah. So if anybody, this is a completely free consultation. If you want to, just talk and see if there's any quick advice I could give you, and or a one-time project I can help you explore, or what I really love to do is just be that continuing accountability partner for you, throughout. So you can find me on Facebook at AAA Advisory LLC. Just look me up there, as well as you can find me under Tricia Bush on LinkedIn or Facebook as well. Website pending, will be there soon. AAAadvisory.com.
All right.
Eventually.
And if you're
I really look forward to it. And then I can give you a link as well in the show notes for I want to offer everybody, it's just like a tool that I like to use to help you start the process. So it's just a place to really write in and fill in what your core values are. Another section to fill in and think about what your long-term vision is, so you kind of have that guiding light. And then the most important part, action. So that what can I do in the next 90 days that's going to, build progress towards that goal.
You're like a financial therapist.
I like that term. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you are. All right. And is your email Tricia at
Yeah, Tricia at aaaadvisory.com. So yeah, there are 4 A's in there.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tricia. And we will talk soon.
Thanks for having me.